Hey guys, Zero here, and I'm back with another video. Though this is a bit of a deviation from my regular stuff. I recently built a computer with Tyler, or the Crown, the Black Crown now, that's his name, relatively recently. And I asked him actually, could I actually borrow your card? And I was wondering because, he had an old system. I was wondering, how does this card handle if maybe you're looking at like modern titles? As well as wanted to see if I could recreate some weird like rendering issues apparently he had when he was playing League sometimes, where like you'd have these random spikes that fly over the place. And unfortunately, I don't have any screenshots I can show you, but this will be kind of cool for me to do. I'll see how it works. Maybe the motherboard was the problem because apparently he had from the motherboard, and then as well I can try out this like tech tuber thing. I watch a lot of tech tubers. I want to see like, can I try this persona out? Anyways, let's go and I'll show you the specs of the card. So the card I'm testing today is the GTX 560 SE. It was released back in March of 2012. It used the Firmai 40 nanometer architecture. I believe it was used kind of like a weird gap filler for the 550 Ti and the 560 line of budget video cards. As you can see on Nvidia's site, the 560 SE was a cut down version of the 560 with less CUDA cores, a slower GPU clock, and a lower VRAM performance. Other than that difference, both have support for DirectX 12, 1GB of memory, and features one mini HDMI port with two dual-link DVI ports. All of this is powered by two 6-pin power connectors placed on the back of the card instead of the side, which I find very interesting. The card here I have is from EVGA, the GTX 560 SE. The only difference here is that it has a factory overclock of 776 MHz. The rig I'll be testing this card on will be my personal rig I use for productivity, gaming, and content creation. So anything you've seen on my channel so far has been done on this system here. It's running an Intel quad-core i7-6700 on a Gigabyte Z170X UD3 motherboard, a pair of 8GB Kingston Fury dual-channel kit at 2133 MHz, and all the games are run off my Western Digital Blue 1TB hard drive that spins at 7200 RPM. I'm quite aware that this won't give the best results as the games are running off my hard drive and my CPU isn't overclocked. But I'm not going for the most serious of benchmarks. I'm kind of emulating Tyler's situation as he's also running his games on his hard drive and using an older CPU, which is still an i7 though. I will note that my CPU won't be a bottleneck as I will not be using any CPU bound games. I'll be pitting the 560 SE against my own GTX 970 as it has a similar performance to Tyler's GTX 1060. Although there's a generation difference, it should be pretty similar from what I've seen so far. I'm doing this to see what kind of performance he would expect if he would maybe have recycled this old card instead of buying a new one. My 970 is EVGA's super clocked gaming edition, because you gotta love that branding. I've chosen 7 games to emulate Tyler's experience because they either are something he's planned to play or he has played in the past. There's also a nice mix of games for anyone looking at buying an old or used hardware. Also, I'll be using Unigine Valley just to get some raw performance numbers. All games and Unigine will be run at 1080p and the highest quality settings possible. First up, we have the numbers for Unigine Valley. Synthetic benchmarks are usually used to give a ballpark theoretical idea of how a piece of hardware can perform. With my 970 on the Extreme HD preset, I got a nice average of 58.7 frames per second and a minimum of 29.3 and a score of 2456. And on the other end, with the 560 SE, unfortunately did not pull very far as expected at an average of 11.7 frames per second and a minimum of 6.5 and a score of 488. The first game I chose to try was Call of Duty World at War. Now, even though it's a game that's almost a decade old, custom zombie maps are always a treat to play, and the modding community has always done a great job of importing features from newer zombie modes into it. Here I played on the custom map called Durburg because of the custom textures, guns, and effects on the map. I think it's a great test for this card and what it can take. In this case, and for any other games following, I turned off VSync. Otherwise, I put on 4 times anti-aliasing, and I saw actually a steady 125 FPS and some dips to 121, but really they're not that noticeable even with the flamethrower going on and the zombies. On the 560 SE, it seemed to have also averaged at 125, but my data showed that it was averaging about 115.8. Kind of funny because, 115, element 115, that's pretty interesting. And then the minimum of 85.5, which is very playable, of course. Next up, we have League of Legends. I'm sure you've seen my shenanigans with my friends and Tyler here. League isn't a game that should require any high-end card to run smoothly. That's why if you wanted to buy a new card, the 1050 or 1050 Ti would be a good, solid choice for competitive gaming on a budget. I will remind you that Tyler occasionally ran into some rendering issues when playing League, but there's no consistency to diagnostic with. I saw an average of about 190.58 FPS and a minimum of 163. On the other end, we have an average of 172.71 and minimums of 163.75. Interesting enough, I didn't see any difference, and again, it'd be a great card for any competitive gaming. Up next is Skyrim. This is going to be the non-special edition because that is the one that Tyler has, again to further emulate his system had he not upgraded his video card. The main bottleneck I saw with this test is that it is a 32-bit application using only up to 3.1 gigabytes of RAM, and also the lack of DirectX 12 at that time. Nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see how this game ran because this was kind of the only version I ran on my old PC. With this test, I played the first introduction up to when you exit the cave. On the GTX 970, I learned something interesting from the forums actually. Skyrim has a cap of 60 frames per second or else they'll have some weird physics problems, so good job Bethesda. Anyways, yeah, it's a cap, it's interesting. It had 8 times anti-aliasing and 16 times anisotropic filtering. No really noticeable dips or stuttering. On the other end, we have the 560 SE at a 39.89 average with some actually very noticeable dips. The minimums I found were 21, but for some reason I also noticed them dropping to like as low as 5 on really strange occasions. I can't really explain these random drops, but maybe you should turn these settings down just in case. Tomb Raider is a game I know he'll be playing through at one point, and considering I could run it on my 4-year-old card at the time, I'm interested to see how the 560 stacks up. I'll never forget my old video card. Now I hope one day that it'll be a part of a home theater PC. For now, it powers the monitor of my family's PC. One day, my old friend. One day. On my 970, I put it on ultimate settings with high shadows and 4 times SSAA. I used the built-in benchmark, and it reached an average of about 51 frames per second with minimums of 36. Unsurprisingly, the 560 SE, the memory was lagging. Oh my. I got an average of 8.1 and minimums of 5.58. I would definitely recommend turning on the settings and hair physics off. Now we're into even more modern titles. First up, we have Black Ops 3. The reason why I chose this is it's similar to why I chose World at War. Treyarch graciously gave the community mod tools for this game, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing the zombies maps with friends. Tyler doesn't have Black Ops 3 yet, but he would like to pick it up on sale. Maybe a gift? On the 970, I put everything at its highest with Filmic SMAA T2X anti-aliasing. I played on Zombies the Giant for about half an hour each time. I got averages about 93.28 with minimums of 78.5. On the SE side, I got averages around 15.9 and minimums of 11.25. Surprisingly enough, it's playable with a bit of lagginess feeling in there, noticeable, so you definitely want to turn down the settings, especially if you're playing multiplayer. Now, here's the most taxing game in the whole bunch. Rise of the Tomb Raider. This was chosen because all the cool tech tubers use it, and why not? It's a beautiful game that I have yet to finish, but look forward to more gameplay, guys. It's a newer title, and I was definitely interested to see how well this would run. On my 970, almost all the settings were set to high, with the exception of texture quality, as it recommends more than 4 gigs of VRAM, more than my 970 has usable. I saw averages of 59.64, with minimums of 47.05. Now, on the 560 SE, I didn't expect much because of the 1 GB of VRAM, and the first Tomb Raider test didn't fare so well either. I felt real sorry for the card. It got an average of 3.36 FPS with minimums of 2.05. On the lowest preset actually, with lens flare and screen effects and film grain off, it dipped only down to 20. So, at the lowest it's quite playable. Finally, the newest game in the lineup, Overwatch. We've had our 1v1s on his new machine, but I wonder how it would have held up in an older card like this. I don't expect this game to be too demanding, and I hope this helped my claim about competitive games not needing too much to run them. I used epic settings on Overwatch on my 970, and used the Uprising event as my benchmark. Glad that they have that event there. I saw averages of 69.99, very exact numbers there, and minimums of 68.8. Very, very stable. On the 560 SE, I got averages of 48.27 and 40.5 for the minimum. Very playable, and if you want to turn on the settings, highly recommend that. So, there we have it. I was quite surprised at the results of this card. The 560 SE is a very capable card, even running modern games, even though you maybe have to turn on the settings. Great for a budget build. It's ready for DirectX 12. For competitive gamers on the budget, that's also a great choice as well. If you can find it used, I would definitely recommend it, because the extra frames, if you want to turn on the settings, could spell victory or a loss. And that is my review of the GTX 560 SE. I hope you enjoyed the video, because I actually had an interesting time making it. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, I hope you would leave a like down below, and if you didn't, leave a dislike, maybe tell me what I did wrong, and maybe look forward to more videos in the future like this. I don't know if you want to like it. Woo! I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.